Thinking of this Prince Andrew arrest, I was just thinking to myself, all the links that he's had with Jeffrey Epstein and just how he was also portrayed in the book by Andrew Lowney entitled Spoiled Brat, Spoiled Prince, basically. The issues, the marriage, the divorce, basically his whole life. And I think to myself, the embarrassment that he's caused himself and his royal family, I think, what is the point now of the royal family? I think it's got to a point where you have to look at it and say, what is the benefit for the everyday person for the royal family? I don't see it. I don't see it. I think what's the benefit of the everyday person for this so-called like sovereign authority that they have? This family that haven't even moved in a righteous way, but we should be in a way subservient to them. I don't see it. Born in the UK, born in London, I thought when I was younger, I used to see, you see them on TV in different, ways, whether it's, events that they do or the things that they do, the duties, the things that they say are representative of their positions and the things they do around the world, or, the engagements they have. And I think, okay, fine. There was a certain way you looked at it. You just thought, oh, okay, that's the royal family, they're called. You do some history, you do some research, you're like, oh, okay, there's a real history there. There's a real sort of situation that looks far more damning than what the perception is in terms of how they present. And it's not just the Windsors, it's the lineage of this family. I think when obviously William the Conqueror in the 1000s did what he did, established, a whole new way. And I think, okay, he did his thing. That family lineage at that time did their thing. But what since then have the Windsors done that they just keep a certain position, having family members not be in line, and on top of that, still be considered royalty? I just don't understand the point. I don't see where royalty, I don't see where this highest level is from anymore. Or even, not even anymore at all. This notion that they're doing things in relation to this form of godlike command, I don't see it at all. There's nothing that suggests this in the word, if you know the word. It's just that we've grown up in different areas and born into what we know. And it gets to the point where you have to look at it and say, what is the point now? I wouldn't separate Andrew from the family. A lot of times I'm hearing conversations with certain people in, the news within these environments speaking on separating Andrew from the family. No. Get your family in order. Every person that is supposed to be of this royalty, get them all in order. You can't separate the two. You can't say, but that's one family member and that's not when it's royalty, not when you're supposed to move in righteousness, not when you're supposed to have this sovereign authority over others and be looked at as set apart. No. So for me, I find it embarrassing. I don't see the point of it. It's not helping in anything. It's not helping anything. It's not helping any everyday person. Now, the monarchy's cost to taxpayers. That's another thing. They say in the 25-26 financial year, it's going to 132 million. That's the amount that is supposed to be increased now when it comes to their money that the taxpayers are paying. Some may say it's warranted, but I don't believe it is. Some may say, but look what the government do. They tax the working individual when they want to offset their financial shortcomings. And you will be right in saying that. It seems so many other things are more important than the average everyday working person or the average everyday person. And it's like, why is there so much continual focus on the monarchy when they are not moving over the years in ways that suggest righteousness and set apart as this higher sort of order? It doesn't make logical sense today. It's just symbolism now. And I understand if you're from a certain age, era, you're going to think, okay, this is what represents the UK. This is something that's part of the history. But if you check the history of the family lineage, it's nothing special when it comes to anything that is 100% positive. And particularly if you look at the Windsors, there's nothing that they're doing that's new. That says they've put in work for their position to continually be a position to uphold. I don't see how they have been moving over the years and say that's indicative of someone that, or a group or people that, you know, we have to look at and bow down to and curtsy to and things of that nature. I just don't see it. You know, I don't think the family have moved in ways where it's positive for the greater good, you know, of the majority, really. Particularly with this Prince Andrew issue. 8th in line to be the king. He needs to now be removed from that. Get in order if you want to be the person that is supposed to put things in order as well. You have to get in order yourself. You know, everyone is inclusive of this because you're a family that has been put in a position. You now have to adhere to a different level of class. You know, this class that they are supposedly having, I don't see it. Not based on some of the dealings, not based on some of the historical evidence about them. And that goes to each era, each, you know, family. I think people just like tradition. You know, you see them with their crowns, you see them with their suits, you see them with the dresses, the pearls. So people think, oh, that is British, you know. Oh, they're so lovely, they're this, they're that. But you don't know nothing of them, really. You don't know nothing. What are they doing for you? You just want to go to these environments, these parades and stuff, and just go because it's the epitome of British. But the history will show French, German lineage. So what is really British? That's another thing. That's another thing. You got to question these things. But it seems if you're born in the UK, you're British, right? But if you're a person who wasn't, and your lineage suggests it wasn't, and shows it wasn't, is that even something that we should even look at and say, oh, that's British, it needs to remain? Because I'm seeing a lot of that. It's the history of, okay, let's go back further then. Let's go back to the 9th or 10th century, where it wasn't fully British. That's all part of the lineage. That shouldn't be eradicated, right? So I'm not seeing benefits. I'm just seeing a lot of, let's keep it based on what we've known. The family have had so many different scandals when it comes to the lineage. They're all part of it. It's not just, oh, but this era didn't have it as much as the previous era. No, the whole lineage is all part of it. It's all one. If you've asserted this type of position, you're all in the same boat. Everybody has to be in line then. Yes. Part of making laws of parliament. Yes, that's the history. So with that, fall in line. Being above the law in most cases, what? The king is? For what? Coordinated. This Prince Andrew thing is embarrassing. Linked with Epstein, we've seen. And it has to get to a point where we question these things. What is the validity for Prince Andrew, the monarchy, and everything in relation to the continual, you know, position that they hold? What is it? What is it for now? It was just a decision to take over and do what they had to do and create what we have all the way till today. It was just resource. It was just acquisition of land, acquisition of, you know, crowns from and scepters from different parts of the world. And if you know, you know. You know, it was all in relation to just being able to subdue and dominate and have dominion. They're just like the normal human being, but we've put them up higher as if they're not human, as if they are larger than life. Well, that's the whole idea, I guess. You know, put on the crowns, put on the jewels, speak like this and speak like that, and have that ability to come across like, you know, you have a different level and a different class. So it's like an illusion that people buy into of a certain generation. It's an illusion. And the information that was attempted to be suppressed by the royal family when Andrew Lowney was trying to get details for his book entitled
I mean, I think, we put the blame on Andrew, but Andrew was enabled and protected by various institutions and individuals, from his staff to politicians to diplomats to civil servants. And I think they have to take some responsibility for covering up for him. I mean, indeed, protected by the Queen. When complaints were brought to her, she just sort of sent the people away with a flea in their ear.
We're a family trying to cover up for a guy that is not right. He's not doing what's required. It doesn't make sense. The issues, all these things, you've got to look into it. You've got to look into it and think of the mentality of the family, I think. So you were willing to cover up for a guy like that.
This is the crisis for democracy at the moment. This is where maybe the role of the monarchy, holding the nation together, leading by example, would help. And the problem is they're not leading by example. They're some of the worst offenders.
And this information that was suppressed, that was when the Queen was there, Queen Elizabeth II. So again, got to look at all these things, how they maneuver. These things aren't, to be overlooked, in my opinion. Because again, it doesn't prove their benefit. And Charles II was the one that benefited in more ways than one when it comes to, if you know. And you've got to understand what is beneficial. Once you have citizens in a country, what is more important? The fact that the Windsors have, dominion over the land, their lineage have designed ways we should act, enacted the law with Parliament. Tell me, over the years, if you've done your research, have that family, lineage, done things that are within what is considered right? Let's be fair. Go and check. Go and do your work. Go and do your Googles and check. Has that lineage done exactly what is within, keeping in line? The answer is no. The answer is no. So why should they still be in position, even over the years when they've done really nothing? Let's be fair. Let's look into it. Be honest. Take your bias, take your feeling of symbolism, take your feeling of what is British away. Think. That's all I'm saying. Think. There can be things that can be done with resources in other ways. The resources that come into that family, there can be things done. It's no good going on planes and shaking hands, doing engagements just to represent, and this false sense of importance. It has to be looked into. You can't have people parlaying and doing what they want, being weird, doing things weirdly, having environments and partaking in all sorts underage, and doing things that you got to look into and think, how are you putting yourself in position as if you're this I am? Doesn't make sense. Got to look at the history, the lineage, things that were done, and question it before you just go to symbolism and it being part of our history. What kind of history do you want to be looked into? Because there's many to look into. When you check, it's not the best. It's not the best all the time. So, think of these things, before we go and jump off and say, oh, we need to keep it because of, what we know. It's what we know. It's what represents us. No. Check the history. And the notion from the monarchy as well, the Queen, Elizabeth II, being the most traveled. You would think with that, she would be a bit more, or should have been a bit more inclusive when it comes to how she does things within her environment. But again, the history shows that wasn't the case. Based on the benefit other nations have done for the monarchy, you would think at that time, the Queen, Elizabeth II, would have a bit more humbleness when it comes to how you think of people from different backgrounds based on the benefit that other countries did for the UK. This is all part of the family history. So why are they still here today? So for me, it's a no from me. He needs to go.
Delete that bit.